You've got to shoot this bit, Margaret. You've got to shoot it.
So welcome to this week's special edition of the Wow podcast. I'm here with my co-host Rob Stewart, and we're here to talk about one of those ski resorts that even you might not have heard of, Rob. Imagine that, a ski resort you haven't heard of.
Yeah, actually, you know what? It wasn't one on my radar, I've got to admit.
Not somewhere you've been.
Not somewhere I've been, and also not one that I really knew about, or I may have heard of it somewhere, but certainly not a name that pops up a lot.
No, absolutely.
In my geeky world of ski resort research.
Well, so this week we're going to be talking about an absolute, genuine French hidden gem called Sept. Laux. We'll put that in the notes. It's celebrating 50 years since it opened, and why that should be the top of one of your ski list trips, Rob.
Yeah, Sept. You're right. I haven't been there, but I've certainly heard of it. More importantly, I like the sound of it too. So, Dom, we'll throw in some questions your way. Let's find out who Sept is good for, what the destination is best for, and also how to get there. And I must admit, I've been checking out the resort website sneakily, when I saw the topic for this podcast.
Yeah.
And it does look really interesting.
It is, absolutely.
But first, right, where exactly is Sept?
So it's pretty close to Grenoble, if you like, just up in the Belledonne mountain range in the Dauphiné Alps. So you could drive into the city of Grenoble, and it's 30 to 40 minutes, traffic permitting. And the airport is just over about an hour away. So you could do that too. Chambery, 50 kilometers away. So that's a really nice option if you're flying in, or if you're like me and you drive down. You could drive down from Calais. You're looking at about eight and a half hours. So it's actually pretty well, nice and convenient, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. And could you get the train there as well? Because it's close to Grenoble.
Yeah, exactly. So I checked out a recent train map with Dan Elkin from Snow Carbon.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I know that collaboration with France Montagne.
That's it. Yeah. So the train would be London, Paris, Lyon, Grenoble, and then a taxi or a bus up there. So yeah, actually the train ride down is pretty good. So being nice and close to Grenoble, it makes it nice and easy for everybody. And to be honest with you, I love that train ride down. And obviously you could do a little stopover on the way down if you wanted to do that. So really nice way to do it.
Actually, I quite like the idea of stopping over for the night in Lyon, a bit different, and then sort of pottering down the next day. That would be quite a good trip.
Great little town, lovely really nice. So yeah, it's well worth doing that.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, so there we are with the location. Let's start with the skiing though. What's it like? How much is there, and who would it suit?
Well, it's easy to think if you haven't heard of it, then it's not going to be big, but actually it's pretty impressive, especially for a place that not many people know about. 120 kilometers of ski run. They link up 3 separate villages. There's about 22 ski lifts, mostly chairs and some drag lifts, and the gondola too. About 90% of the lifts are about 10 years old or newer, so pretty nice. And within that 120 kilometers, there's 45 individual trails that include green, blue, red, and black. So generally, there's something for every level of skier and snowboarder. So actually, it's pretty damn impressive for somewhere that maybe people haven't heard of. It is mostly blues and reds, but there are half a dozen 7 black runs, so pretty significant. And it has the largest freeride area in the region, including the Vallons du Pra trail, which is basically a marked off-piste route. So pretty damn good.
Yeah, I noticed on the website that the freeride sector was a big talking point, and it mentions a lot of ski touring as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, there's some well-known itineraries and even a special pass that allows you to take certain lifts back after a tour. So it's a very, very pretty area, very scenic. On one side, you've got views of Les Bauges, a UNESCO geopark, the mountains of La Chartreuse, where the famous drink comes from, as you know. And then on clear days, you can even see right over to Mont Blanc in the other direction. So yeah, pretty spectacular.
Yeah, right. I do know that area is absolutely incredible scenery around there. Okay, so interesting freeride terrain. I'm liking the sound of this already. A dedicated freeride zone. So it sounds like a pretty serious ski area then.
Well, yeah, it is. I mean, it's worth saying the freeride terrain isn't necessarily super challenging. It would be a good place to learn and hone your off-piste skills with the right instructor or guide, of course. Mm-hmm. There's several areas, including the Côme de Bedina, the Côme de la Jasse, or Yasse, I'm sure they say, and Les Faucons and Le Pas de Chien. Must be something to do with the dog, I guess.
Yes,
So there, there's a yeah. So there's a chunk of areas for sure.
Yeah, they take it pretty seriously then.
Yeah, I've just pulled this up actually on their website. This is what they say about freeride skiing. They say it's a little bit of franglais in here. So on the Plain A side, the Pra Valley will make converts of freeride specialists. This space along the Black Hill is surely one of the most fabulous of the whole area, offering a sumptuous view of Belledonne and Haute Breda Valley. The practice of freeride is done in the Combe de Bedina and some couloirs that we owe to a renowned freerider, Dennis Ray, which are the favourite courses of freeriders. So there's my bit of broken franglais there, but you get the idea of what they're saying.
Okay, so I'm key.
You like it?
I like the sound. I like the sound of that. But what about for everyone else?
Yeah, of course.
Or those that don't want to do the free riding side.
Basically. Yeah. So on the other side of the ski snowboard spectrum, if you like, it is it's got its own snow park. One in France is most highly rated apparently, and located up at 1900 meters with its own lift to allow quick returns to the top. So obviously, as you know, you run down through a park. What the park rats want is they want to get straight back up and do it again.
Yeah.
So it does have its own lift, which is great.
Okay.
The park has 4 sectors for different abilities, including border cross 2. So yeah, pretty cool. Could even get Emily out there. And it is also worth mentioning the beginner's terrain because it is extensive and separate from the main ski area. And then there's a nice progression on to green runs after that. So the majority of runs are blue and red. So we are talking about all this free ride terrain, which is all very nice. But at the end of the day, it is a beginner and intermediate's paradise there that actually they're the people who get the best deal, to be honest. So there's a fairly new area called the Squirrels Route for kids too. You know those sort of runs that you run down through the woods and you're bashing the things and you're ringing the bell and poking the squirrel in the eye and all that sort of stuff. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I do. I quite like those myself.
They're always a bit of fun. I can see that, Rob. Anyway, it looks like a great little area to learn to ski or snowboard, and you can get all the ski schools as well. So there's the ESF, of course, École de Ski Français, and you also get the ESI Pro 7 school that also offers freestyle and freeride lessons. There's a dedicated snowboard school called Slash, and another called Easy Riders, and they've got English speaking instructors. So yeah, pretty good offering on the ski instruction front too.
Yeah, that sounds good. I must say my daughter learned to ski mostly with the ESF in France, and we only ever had good experiences with them. I mean, back in the day, I worked with and alongside ESF instructors. They were super professional. So for kids especially, it's great. Yeah. Right, what about the snow record?
Yeah, pretty good. I mean, it is actually pretty high. I mean, the lowest village is 1350, but it goes up to 2400 meters, which might not seem huge, but that's more than 1,000 meter vertical. And with its location, they get good snowfall through the winter and well into spring, to be honest. And a lot of the slopes are northwesterly facing, so they hold the snow pretty well. So yeah, not sure why this place hasn't hit our radar before.
Yeah, I mean, you ask who the skiing is for. I mean, it sounds like it could actually be for everyone, basically.
Yeah, absolutely. Certainly families can get a lot from this area, especially families with skiing abilities at pretty much every level. It genuinely caters for skiers and snowboarders from complete beginners right up to experts and everything in between. So for a resort of this size, it's pretty much got everything packed in, to be honest with you.
Okay, great. So what about the actual villages then? What are they like, Dom?
Yeah, so the main village is Praputel. It's where most of the accommodation and facilities are. It's mostly self-catered accommodation, and there's a good choice of both sort of lower priced and higher end places to stay in. And it's pretty easy to walk around the area. It's not tiny in any sense, but it's not like a massive town either. So it does have that sort of purpose-built feel, but in quite a nice way. And the views across the valley are pretty epic, to be honest with you, Rob. There's also supermarkets, selection of restaurants. It's not the kind of resort that you're going to see sort of super highly inflated prices in. So that's also a big draw, especially for me. Lots of locals come here. And exactly.
I guess sort of place where, it isn't a lot of locals from Grenoble coming up on weekends and they're not going to inflate prices. So
yeah, exactly.
That's the case.
Yeah, so you're probably going to experience quite softened prices and quite good value over and above some of the sort of more well-known resorts in France. And off the slopes, there's an all-year-round mountain coaster, like a toboggan on tracks, pedestrian chairlift for non-skiers, pretty useful, and dog sled rides too. Lots of things for kids to try in the adventure park. So actually, it's pretty nice. The more I talk about it, the more I'm likely to try and get out there this season to go and explore more.
Okay, all right, yep, it's sounding good. It's building into quite a nice picture for me.
Yeah.
But what about the après, Dom? What about the après? What's it like?
So it's never going to be the
Some
big party
questions.
town. It's never going to be the big party town, but certainly on the weekends when it's busier, because I can tell you during the week it's normally pretty quiet on the slope. So that's a massive bonus as well,
Yeah.
especially with some people who maybe want to gain a bit of confidence or have lost some confidence over the years. But maybe with the exception of the French holiday weeks, there's a bit of that play to be enjoyed. There's a few little bars. You're probably not going to get people dancing on tables in their snow boots, Rob.
Yeah. Okay. So it does sound like a great family place, especially with sort of older kids too. There's, the park and plus beginners, all those green runs, and also those looking for a bit of adventure on the freeride side too, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it's perfect if you've got, sort of youngsters that are just learning to ski, and then you've got a couple that maybe one of them wants to go off and do a bit of freeride and the other one wants to get a bit more experience or maybe get a lesson. Yeah, it really does sound like an area where pretty much everybody can do a bit of something,
Yeah. Okay, a few more quick fire questions for you, Dom, just to test your knowledge, which seems pretty good so far. But here we go.
I'll do my best.
Why is it called Le Sept Laux? Seven Laux.
Le Sept Laux. Okay, easy. Although there's a few local variations on the story, it was founded in the 1960s, 70s by a group formed of 7 communes in the area. So it was called Le Sept Laux.
7 communes.
Yep.
Very easy. Okay, that makes sense. Okay, where do I go for a pint? When I'm there.
Okay.
I'm not that I want to forget about the skiing, but it's like my second question, but
I'm going to go for a nice beer. Try Obar Bu or BU. Okay. Obar Bu. So that's the place to go for a decent pint. Yeah, absolutely.
Sounds like a fun place to hang out. Okay. And then 3. What about a bit of tartiflette then? Where am I going to go for that?
Yeah, there's a few good spots for that, Rob. But Le Rocher Blanc is a good bet for all that traditional alpine fare. For sure, that is probably a top choice. Really, really nice. Great food. Your real proper tartiflette. I think I'm going to have to go, Rob. I'm sorry. I'm going to have to shoot off.
You've obviously done your homework, Dom. So your knowledge, I mean, you passed the test there. I do like the sound of this place. I reckon it would be spot on for a sort of great family ski holiday to start with. So how do I, or anybody else that might be listening to this, book up a week in Le Sept Laux?
All right, good question. So I have to fess up here. I have to fess up that I was put onto this place by our friends at Peak Retreats, who I have travelled with multiple times, and they feature it in self-catered apartments. So they do have fully ski in, ski out, and so super convenient. One is just more facilities. It has an indoor pool and a restaurant and all that sort of stuff. Nice accommodation, not super flashy, but smart. And then there's the choice of eating in and out. Remember here, we're not talking crazy prices. So actually, they've actually done it to me before, Peak Retreats. They bring something onto my radar, they make me want to go, and then they take some money off me to send me there. So yeah, it's pretty clever.
They reel you in.
Yeah, they reel me in. Peak Retreats, they've been organising holidays in the French Alps for over 20 years, so they're super experienced. These guys are really, really knowledgeable.
What about prices? Have you got any actual prices for a holiday then?
Yeah, absolutely. I checked that out before today. So for a family of 4, you're looking at a starting price of around about sort of £1,500 for the whole apartment for a week. And that includes a return Eurotunnel fare. That's obviously going to go up a bit on the peak season dates, but possibly around double that. I mean, if you're going to head out during half term, but pretty good value.
Yeah, it's good value.
Especially if when you get into resort, you're finding the prices softened on, bottle of wine or a beer or a pizza or spaghetti, whatever the kids are going to want, or, if you're going to dine out, if you're going to have tartiflette and that sort of thing, if the prices are softened, that could end up quite a good value for money holiday.
I mean, let's face it, pretty sensible for a family ski holiday to go to somewhere that, I mean, we all love the big French resorts as well, right? They're amazing destinations.
Yeah.
But actually, when you do go to these places that aren't, let's just say, as famous as some of those other names, prices are noticeably softer. And I don't think anyone would argue with that, really.
No,
I don't think anyone would argue with that.
Yeah.
So how do we actually go about booking a holiday in Sept Laux with Peak Retreats then?
That's where Peak Retreats make it really easy. You can go to head to their website at peakretreats.co.uk, or you can call them on 02392 839 310. So French Alps specialists. They've been organising holidays in the French Alps for over 20 years, so they're super experienced. These guys are really, really knowledgeable. multiple awards that they get year on year, and they're ABTA bonded. So really can't go wrong. These guys, they're very good at bringing to the attention of British skiers some of these absolute gems that maybe wouldn't hit our radar in the first place. So that's really nice. Sometimes sometimes you do want something just a bit different, don't you?
Yeah, thanks, Tom. I mean, we do know them very well, don't we? And the thing is, they also happen to be very nice people too, I would say. I
guess, in this industry, we're surrounded by really nice people, but I think when they can talk to you about something that's a bit different, that's always makes the conversation that much more interesting. When they came to me with Sept, and I'm thinking, either I'm really stupid and I don't know this place and I should know it, do I have to plug it and pretend, or is it genuinely a place that maybe not that many people have heard of? And that was the case. And, it's great.
I agree.
Really nice people. And it's great having this special edition of the Whiteout podcast to discover Les Sept Laux. Maybe we should have kept it as our little secret. Maybe we won't publish this episode so nobody else gets to find out.
Well, this is the thing, isn't it, Tom?
And I'm sure it's a fabulous little place that many people could go and enjoy sort of slightly softer prices, a really nice ski area that could suit all sorts of people, and somewhere a bit different to tell your friends about,
Absolutely. I totally agree. And, tasked in life with visiting as many ski resorts as possible.
Yeah.
Some life's work. It's now time for me to discover Les Sept Laux too, I think. So what about next time from Les Sept Laux then, Dom?
From Les Sept Laux, the podcast the next time. Let's do it from the Les Sept Laux. So yeah, big shout out for Peak Retreats. Thank you for furnishing with so much information. We're very much looking forward to visiting this season. And don't forget, listener, to hit subscribe so that you get the latest podcast as and when it drops in. And do leave us a review, because those reviews really do help other people find our podcast. In the meantime, we wish you happy skiing. And until next week, when we'll have our usual podcast episode, Rob, have a good ski next week.
Yeah. See you soon, Dom.
Cheers, Rob. Have a good one. Bye-bye.
Mais non, talkie-walkie.
I'm pretty sure it's called a walkie-talkie, mate.